right, testing, testing. All right, time to get started here. Looks like GDevelops come out with some more updates. They're always on top of things. New save state features. Added some actions to list, delete, check, and duplicate existing saves, and to the option to wait for actions to be finished before running subsequent actions and sub-events. Sounds pretty helpful. Hey, Code. I was gonna say good evening, but good morning. How's it going, dude? Family's doing pretty well. Appreciate you asking. How's your family doing? All right, let's get back into it. Tower defense. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I can only be on for a little bit. That's all right. Honestly, I'm going to do a pretty short stream tonight. I was actually looking into all the technical issues I had last time, and it took like forever. At the moment, it seems to have been sorted, but we'll see. But yeah, you have a family member on end of life. Dude, that's really rough. I'm sorry, man. Dude, just go completely. Don't even worry about me. Just go do what you need to do, man. But I appreciate you hopping on. That really sucks. But seriously, no, I appreciate you hopping on. Take care of yourself. Take care of the family. Lord knows this project is going to be around for a while, so. No worries, dude. No worries. I'm going to keep it pretty chill. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty short stream anyway. But I hope the best for you all. Okay, so really all I've done since last time was really look over. I'll be honest, I don't really want to do a lot of technical stuff tonight. Last time we managed to get some enemy resistances, damage type resistances put in. So that seems to be working pretty well. And what I really wanted to do is just kind of go shopping. Either shopping for assets or shopping for ideas. Yeah, you're kind of like on the same, thinking of the same thing right now as I am. Looking over assets for enemies. So I have an idea. Now within Blender, there's a very, very specific skill that I'm trying to obtain. And I'm close to finishing the learning curve, which is rigging 3D models for animations. And for the most part, I've got it down. I've got like the bones and everything. Just trying to really kind of tie up all the loose ends there. Not sure it's really even stream worthy at this point because I have to, watch some more videos on it. But as far as like the end result, I did want to look over some asset stores maybe, so that once I've got that down, I can really, have some inspiration. So let's see, 2D art assets. So let's go. Really, this could even be 3D. Obviously, I'll turn it into 2D. Now, the original concept I had for the game was a little bit more amorphous figures, like not exactly like this dude here in the armor, but more like wispy, a little bit undefined, smoky. And I think I can do that pretty well just by using various effects like smoke. So, like I said, I'm working on the bone rigging. I've already got smoke down, so I can basically add smoke to any 3D model at this point. And I can make smoke that kind of like emanates upward. It can be like kind of a heavy gravity, like a gravity heavy smoke that kind of goes downward, like if I have a cool frozen type of enemy, maybe it's like a really slow descending kind of smoke, whereas a fiery one would be more like, smoke goes upward. Let's see. In fact, let me get rid of I swear I had some cooler assets popped up earlier, and then I was struggling to find them again. But here are some. And basically, like, I was thinking it really doesn't have to get too complicated. Basically like that. A black humanoid figure covered in smoke. That's basically a wraith. And I think here in front of us we have got a couple of examples kind of like that. So if we took like this, let it load. If it ever loads. You kind of get the idea just by looking at some of these. But kind of like this. It's just like a bony humanoid figure with smoke around it. And then you can make all sorts of adjustments to either the skeleton, the smoke, or both. And I think that would be like 80% of how to do all of the enemies. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one. Obviously, if I learn to do it, I don't have to pay 25 bucks per asset, and right. So that's the goal. Let's see here. Now I'm not logged in, so I'm just going to save this to my bookmarks. Even if you took like this girl, I mean, she's already a little bit unpleasant looking, but the only thing that's creepy about her is she appears to have no legs and is floating and is dirty, right? So, but nothing really complex about her. So I don't think I need to get too complex with what I do either. But if I were to take that and then like add effects, change the colors a little bit, especially keeping in mind this is going to be a really small, zoomed out, you know, isometric view anyways. So I think that can work. Some of the smoky figures, maybe you just see like the arms coming out of the smoke, you know, the claws. Others you might see a lot more of the figure. Yeah, you won't see all the details. That'd be a waste of time. And then additionally, if I just do color tinting in engine, then if I just export them all, like let's say for this model here, if I did something like this, I would probably only export the gray one and then do tinting in the game. You know, it's worked. I'm going to go back to my childhood inspiration. If it worked for Diablo 2, it could work for this. They just take the same model and put a different tint depending on what it does. Let me know if the music is too loud. It should be pretty quiet. So here's an example of the bone rigging. Definitely a lot of them. Anyway, let's go back a little bit. And in my very first prototype of the game, I had something more like this in the game, and I honestly thought it was a pretty spooky feeling. Having these bony wraiths kind of coming out. And of course it was backed up with a creepy sound. I don't have sound in the game yet, and sound is going to make it exponentially creepier if people play it with the sound on. Good old D2, you need a ghoul, that's a boss, just tinted blue. Yeah. Obviously you can have like, you know, unique versions that have a little extra. But if you're going from like a... what is it? Bone ash. You know, it's just another skeleton. This is actually kind of funny looking. It's funny looking because the scenery is so happy. You have this death bone ghoul floating around. He's just enjoying the flowers. He's misunderstood. Give him a break. Or give her a break. Whatever it is. It looked like he was laughing at my joke. Yeah, Fog of War, definitely. In fact, it's still in the game. If I toggle the Boolean, Fog of War, if I toggle that on, I think it still works. Let it load in. Yeah, it definitely still works. Yeah, so like right now, in this prototype stage. The idea would be you would have a starting point somewhere on the map like this, and then you have to build out from there. It would probably be even smaller. This is a very generous size. And my little square indicates if I can or cannot build. Actually, no, it doesn't. Okay, I guess I broke it or I took it out. The idea is that you can only reach out as far as the perimeter. Then you have to build it like there. Then you can only go out as far as the next perimeter and so on. So if your chain gets broken, because the enemies can destroy your towers, then, for example, if these go, now you've got this space out here and you can't build until you reconnect your chain. Something like that. Obviously, it'll be much better to get the playtesting going once I finish the fundamentals, like the enemy resistances and damage types. That'll definitely be the open to feedback stage. I'm also thinking this level of brightness is like... Yeah, exactly, a small light to start. And I think this level of brightness is actually very generous. Because if this game is all about mood and like a feeling of darkness, it's not that I want the player to just see nothing. But this is like broad daylight and then it goes to immediate darkness. I think it'll have to be... I mean, this looks like sunlight to me. So it'll need to be a feeling of more grim. Whatever that looks like. At one point, I updated these towers to not occupy a rectangle. I changed it to occupy a square. So now I can get overlapping, which actually looks kind of cool. They can go behind each other. I just need to modify them so that when you click on one, you don't click on multiple. But that should be pretty quick. So I definitely want something like this, like a skeletal, bony, floating thing. And honestly, it's pretty easy. You can get skeletons in Blender. They're already in there. So I'm going to save this one as inspiration as well. Zero A, zero A, zero A, zero A. What kind of a gray are we talking there? Oh, it's like almost black. Yeah, it definitely would make a good boss unit. It's got to be pretty OP. You know, maybe the minions are the more formless ones. The bosses have more form, something like that. What about this dude? Is he serious enough? Slimer's the end boss. Definitely. There's gonna be like the secret cow level is gonna be Slimer or something equivalent. All right. All right. So let's do this. Well, I say that and then I stop talking. So I'm sure that's annoying. What I'm thinking is I want to compare all the different types of like undead. And I typed in D&D because they have a lot of definitions there. But it actually gives us a good starting point for some of these things. Not everything in my game is undead. Obviously, some are more shadowy or whatever, elemental, demonic. But what I'm trying to think about is like some of the subtle differences between them. Just don't do what they did in Diablo 3 where they were thinking, what were they thinking with that cow level? Yeah, the colorful floating clouds are still blinding my vision right now. The happy clouds that poop gold. Like I guess I get that they were trying to be tongue in cheek, but I don't know. It was like a joke that didn't land. The cow level I think worked. It was just the right level of goofy. Because besides the fact that they were bovine, their look was still Diablo 2. And they were still wielding these crazy halberds. And they were dangerous. So it's like, yeah, we wanted the Cow King. And Diablo 2's cow level was a play on Diablo 1 where there was a cow in town. And there was it was a conspiracy that there was a hidden cow level. If you click it 10,000 times, a cow level would spawn. So they put it into Diablo 2. Diablo 3 was a little bit drunk on that secret level. Okay. Yeah, incorporeal spirits. This is kind of what I'm talking about. So the bodiless undead that have transcended physical form, they float, pass through solid walls, resist most normal bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. So these are the kinds of details I'm talking about. And what that translates to in my game is I'm basically going to have like classes of enemies, which will have some of these attributes by default. So for example, if I've got my skeletons, which at the moment I do have skeletons, they're going to have, for example, they'll be immune to poison or earth damage if I have that. So they'll all just be immune to it by default. It's one of their characteristics. They're probably going to have pretty low HP. They're not very tanky, that kind of thing. Whereas this other enemy I've got, this kind of a demonic figure. Yeah, if I have him in the game, which if I add some smoke effects, it might work. Obviously, he is going to be more tanky. He would be susceptible to poison, but, you know, probably pretty resistant to some other things like you know, physical. So we've got shadows, ghosts, specters and wraiths, and banshees. Banshees are the mournful spirits of corrupted elves. So they should emit some sort of a wail. Obviously that could get annoying real fast. Maybe they wail when you kill them. Specters and wraiths are vengeful, corrupted spirits. Wraiths are particularly dangerous because they hate all life. Wield massive negative energy and can turn slain humanoids into local specters on the spot. So that sounds like the skeleton floating boss that we just described. Can turn slain humanoids into loyal specters on the spot. Kind of similar. Caleb King, how's it going? You having a good evening so far? All right. Sorry, Caleb King. I had to scroll up to see your first message. I'm glad you discovered my channel, and I'm glad you discovered GDevelop. Yeah, good timing. I'm glad you hopped on. I almost missed my own stream, to be honest. And it might be a slightly short one, but I mean, Lost in Code has joined us. You've joined me. So yeah, man. I'm glad you hopped on. I was just going over monster types for my game. You said... Yeah, so you said you discovered GDevelop. Do you already have a project going on, or how'd you find GDevelop? Let's see. What I really want to do is put some of this stuff into like a spreadsheet. And I usually use a different LLM for this, but let me see. Put that over here. So let's try this. What I'm going to do is let me go to my sheets over here. Trusty tower defense sheet. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call it, I don't know, enemy library or something. I'm just going to delete all this stuff out of here. I don't even know how good this data is. I'm just going to dump it in and we'll see what happens. Oops, that did not work. Oh, there it goes. Again, just using this as kind of a starting point for some of these, getting ideas, because I'm really at the point where I want to build out my enemies. I'm getting closer to, you know, actually technically implementing them and such. And this is just, so far, this is just the undead family. So subtle differences between like Ghast, White, Banshee, and so on. All right, back to chat here. You started learning Godot a couple months ago, lost interest. Finding GDevelop has resparked your interest in game dev, mainly in game design, which is kind of what I'm doing today. Literally all day today. Lost in code gets lost in code. But no, honestly, learning the fundamentals of programming, and there's a difference between programming and coding. Coding is just code. You just type it out, hash it out. And not all code is programming either, right? So programming you can do with events, like in GDevelop. You can do programming with blueprints. It's really just a logic flow. So with that being said, if you learn the fundamentals of programming, then it can carry over whether you're doing raw code or a higher abstracted layer like GDevelop events. The core concepts still apply. Most of the core concepts. Obviously, we're not dealing with like as much garbage management and stuff like that, but still a little bit. If you have like projectiles floating around the screen, you still have that type of garbage management, or your game will crash, right? Oh yeah, you're between Unreal's blueprints and GDevelop. Unreal has a massive learning curve. Yeah, Unreal, I've definitely dabbled in Unreal as well. I mean, if you're trying to go 3D or something, if your plan is like to make some sort of like hyper realistic 3D game, Unreal is going to be more favorable for that. But if you just want to make a game and actually be able to finish it, you can definitely do that in GDevelop. But Unreal is like the Ferrari. GDevelop is a more humble but more approachable game engine. It'd be like your really nice, affordable car, if I use that analogy. I'm butchering the analogy. All right, anyways, so let's go here. What I can do is, so even though these sprites all look the same, it's basically the same skeleton, basic, burning cold. I can make as many of these as I want, but let me go to the group variables. So we've got the resistances here: arcane blood, earth, fire, holy ice, water. So let's see, debuff. I'm going to start adding attributes in here. So like, for example, cannot be frozen. then there would be like attribute cannot burn. So if you have like an ice enemy, it's probably not going to catch on fire. Then like, for example, absorb. So if you have like light absorb, or I guess it'd be holy absorb. What this means is it actually, if you hit it with holy damage, it's actually going to receive healing. These actually need to be booleans. Technically, I could have absorb, like I could have cannot be frozen, cannot burn. Basically, cannot for each debuff. Then I could have absorb for each damage type, and it's a yes or a no, right? I don't want too many enemies to be like hardcore immune though. Maybe just highly resistant. The idea is not to just lock you out of using certain towers, but to make you think more about how to utilize a certain tower. So maybe they're highly electric resistant, but then if you put them in a puddle of water and shock, and they become vulnerable, then they can be shocked, which can crit. And even though they're electric resistant, the crits can break through that resistance. Things like that. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. I lost track of what you were saying. Moon can't grab it. Oh yeah. So what would we call that? Attribute. What do you call it? I don't have a name for that effect yet, but basically maybe like CC immune, depending on how, you know, it could just be hardcore, you know, you cannot stop it. I feel like I lost some work here for... Oh, I see what's happening. Golly. Attribute cannot burn. I guess instead of cannot be frozen, you can just say cannot... Oh, I know why I said that. Cannot be burned. Because if I say cannot freeze, then in theory a programmer like myself might think cannot freeze the towers. If I say cannot be frozen, I know it's talking about the enemy. So let me see. I saved, but I didn't apply, and that's how I lost my progress here. Attribute. Then you would have, like I said, holy absorb, but that will be for each element type. Let me hit the apply button, then save. Yeah, resist moon would work. Caleb King, you have a good night. Yeah, go do some research. We'll catch up with you later. Come back with those questions. Happy to chat with you more. Is it not saving my variables? What is going on here? I'm pretty sure it was on video. Code. I'm sure you watched this. I hit apply, then I did Control S. My variables are not here. What is going on here? Okay. Edit group. Variables. After this last time, I'm pretty confident it was not a user error. I'm going to close out and come back in. No, it's not happy. Okay, let me try this one more time. I'm just going to do attribute cannot be as a Boolean. Apply. And then see if it's still there. It is still there. And what if I hit save? Copy all before you save and exit. Can you copy all? Thanks for that. Attribute fully absorb. I did not spell that right. Okay. Apply. Save. It seems to be working now. I think. Yeah. Debuff burning, debuff frozen, attribute cannot be frozen, attribute cannot be burned, attribute wholly absorb. And then it's going to have a lot of other unique ones too, like attribute spawner. I think. Attribute like healer. And then even attribute splitter. So when you kill it, it divides into multiple smaller ones, right? Lots of options. Hey! George, what's going on? It's happening. Dude, you've been busy. I've been seeing your LinkedIn posts. You've been all over. Is business going well for Minimap? Yeah, it's going. Well, hopefully that's more of a positive it's going than a negative one, but I'm glad to hear it. Setting up and expanding the business scopes while improving the app itself too. Nice. I know one thing, dude. You are keeping that business. I mean, you're keeping that. Well, yeah, you're keeping the business. You're the face of that business. And I know you know that, but you're putting in the work, dude. It's a good job. Oh, we've got 2 of our core crew on tonight, plus Riley. Okay. So if I go back to my spreadsheet here. Spawner, Burns Towers. Yeah, so we could also do... Yeah, Burns Towers. At the group. Burns Towers. So basically it's like if this is true for a given enemy, then if it's within a given range, I guess it'll have like a chance to set certain towers on fire unless the tower is immune to being burned. Things like that. So we could test this out. If I take my, because I've already got this red skeleton called Skeleton Burning. And if I edit its variables and say true on Burns Towers. Yeah, not seen Blaze in a while. Now, I figure he probably got bored of us. I know he's alive. He's been responding periodically in chat. I figure he got bored of us. That's alright. Blaze, if you're watching this, I hope you're doing well, dude. Okay, one thing I need is... Let's see, do I have any fire? I'm going to actually add a particle emitter. Yeah, I guess so. I don't want too many particles in the game, but I guess at some point I do need some fire. Why did I do that? Let me at least do it. Which one do I want? I don't know which one would fit my kind of art style theme best. If it's too smooth, it might be out of place, but I don't know. Let's just try this one for now. Where'd it go? So, particle tower burning. All right, Code, you get some rest. I hope you and your family the very best. I'm sorry it's a rough time. Get some sleep, and I'll catch you later. Spray cone angle, it's set to 10. We're going to increase this to about... Not sure. Let's try 40. Radius of the emitter 10, so it'll be 10, 20. Let's make that slightly bigger. Let's try 15. And then... So the particles are going to end at the same size. Lifetime 0.75. Minimum lifetime 0.1. Gravity on the y-axis. I want it to be actually be a negative gravity. Actually, let's leave that alone. Let's just put this on the scene and see what it looks like. Okay. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. All right, so particle tower burning. Let me just drag it out here and see what happens. I need to rotate that. Oh, I need to turn off my fog of war. Apply. And now let's try that. Okay, definitely too big. Way too big. Let's try... Okay, so that made it a little bit smaller. The idea is if there's a tower here, which unfortunately I can't put a tower right there. Tell you what. Let's make it even smaller there. Then I think particle maximum lifetime. Set that to like 0.3. Flow of particles per second is 1,000. Maximum number of particles displayed at 1,000. It's really too many. Let's try 150. Okay. Just gonna try to get this roughly right. I'll probably customize something way more later on. Again, the idea is just to get something in place so I can see if a tower is burning. So really, this is fine. Then what you do is you add in some smoke. So let's get a quick smoke one. Particle. Something like this. Again, not too many of these, or we could have, you know, I don't want people to have performance issues. Set the spray cone angle to 40 as well. Radius of the emitter. What did I set that to? I think 15. Particle start size is 10, end size is 100. Let's try setting the end size as 50. It's kind of hard to tell what the percentage is. Then that should be fine. So ideally, you would drag it out. And one could overlap the other. Which one is best just depends on how it looks. So it's a matter of preference. Obviously, that smoke is too crazy, so the force is too much, or the lifetime is too much. So yeah, that's the problem there. The lifetime should be about 0.1 to we'll say 0.4. And then what was the emitter force on the fire? So that would be 100 to 500. Which honestly, even that seemed like too much. Let's drop that from 100 to 400, and then 100 to 400. See how that looks. Make them roughly the same. And then, oops. See how it looks. Okay, it's really intense. I could drop the opacity of the smoke. Start at maybe at like 100 instead of 127. And we could also try putting the fire on the top. I mean, honestly, that's good enough for right now. I'm not going to mess around with it too much. So, that being said, let's see if we can put this into action. So we need to find our tower. Do we have the variable is burning? Debuff on fire. All right, there we go. So, need to find my tower updates. Scene, wherever that went. No, that's upgrades. I need updates. Here we go. If enemy's distance to tower is below this range, let's see. What I'm really going to do is look to see if any of the enemies have the variable burns towers. And from there, we'll say if the tower variable is burning or on fire. If on fire is, maybe I should just say burning. I keep using that term. If it's false, we're going to set it to true. Okay, and then I think I need one more. I think I need another variable on the tower. And it's going to be this. It's going to be this really long, weird variable. So then for each tower, we just need a standalone event. So if towers variable on fire is true, but then also burning is not set up, then we're going to set that to true. And we're also going to create those particle emitters. So let's create the smoke. Create it at towers. Center X and center Y. Then we'll create the other one. Let's give that a quick test. Oh wait, hold on. No, that should be fine, actually. We can do this. So if I set a tower out here, and I come into my debugger. Where is it? Here it is. So if I go here, refresh, go to the one and only tower I have on the scene. Tell you what, let me see if I can split screen this. Zoom in over here. If I set the debuff on fire to true, in theory, okay, it did kind of work. I just didn't position them correctly, but it did work. It created them. So it's got kind of a Kylo Ren shooting the flame out the side effect. That's an easy fix. Then what we need to do with that is a couple of things. It looks like it was just the fire going the wrong way. So particle, burning, rotate, rotate toward, I always get this backwards. I think it's 270 immediately. What else? Oh, and then let's change the Z order of these things. So let's do the smoke Z order at towers.z order. And we'll do +1. Then we'll do the same thing for the fire, but we'll set that to +2. Okay. Hopefully that looks all right. What I'm going to do next is I just need a different trigger. So now we'll say if enemy's distance to towers is below a certain range. Oh yeah, and then if the variable burns towers is true. So let's give this a shot. Don't know if it's going to work. In fact, I need to see which enemies I'm able to spawn. So let's go to enemy spawn right over here. We want the selection, so 0 through four, 5, 0 through 5, I think. And only the red skeletons should be able to trigger a burn. So, save and preview. All right, almost done here, I think. Let's set a few towers out along the way. Okay, they all started burning. It went too fast though. Let me see here. Start this over. Let me just do one here, one in the middle, and one way up here. Okay. The top one's not burning yet. Now it's burning. I think that the distance is working. I think there's a bug with the spawning location of some of the smoke, but as far as the trigger, it seems to be working. So I'll just work that out next time. I gotta wrap up this stream for tonight. Nice short little stream. But yeah, thanks anyone who's watching. Thanks so much for watching. And whatever it is you're working on, I certainly hope you have fewer bugs than I do. So thanks a lot. And I'll catch you next time.